Cleveland, where I'm from, our domestic policy subcommittee did research, and you could look at the map of where the subprime loans were going. Where do you suppose they were going?
Minority community?
They were going heaviest in the black community. Now, people were absolutely taking advantage of a situation of what? The Community Reinvestment Act, never enforced, okay? So that meant that people in the black community in the Cleveland area were starved for a chance to own a home, okay? Because they couldn't get a prime loan. So the banks came up with these subprime loans, which means we're going to give you a rate that it seems like a good rate, and we'll give you terms that you don't have to worry about. But the people didn't understand what they were getting themselves into, and somebody says, well, that's their problem. No, it's not society's problem, because everything collapsed then. But they targeted people based on the fact that they didn't know exactly what they were getting into. And you know, in the African American community, home ownership, just like anywhere else, is a huge thing. But the banks knew that the desperation that was there, people would sign up for any opportunity to own a home, whether they could make the payment in a couple months or not. And they didn't care. This, to me, this is a major civil rights calamity in our country. And these bankers were criminals, and they had to go to jail for what they did. And the epicenter of this was in Cleveland, Ohio. And you know what's happening right now? You can look at vast acreages in my city where you just have whole blocks just falling apart because people have been pushed out of their homes because they got foreclosed. And the neighborhoods, you know, you have foreclosed homes in your neighborhood, your property value goes down. This is wrong. I mean, the American people have had a major scam pulled off on them by the banking community and by investment houses. So, you know, that's why our committee is so important, because as we delve into this and start exposing it, we show people, you know, what exactly has happened. We got to make sure that nothing like this ever happens again. And you know what? We have to go back to keeping people in their homes and making it possible once again for people to own a home. How do you own a home? Well, you have to have a job, and you need health care, so you're not going to lose your home if you lose your job. There's other things we need to do, but our society has a long way to go, and this has been such a drastic drop for so many people. It just breaks your heart when you see what people go through.
Right. But you know, when you look back, some of these folks that are guilty of doing this are now being rewarded.
Oh, yeah.
They're getting bonuses and, of course, retention money and all kinds of things to continue. I mean, so how can we prevent this from happening? I mean, we need to stop.
They're not only getting retention bonuses, but check this out. Many of the banks were involved in this meltdown. Through the year 2007, 2008, and specifically in 2008, later on they're getting TARP funds, okay? This money was being passed on to investors in the form of dividends. So the banks run the economy into the ground by loans that they knew people couldn't pay off, and then they go to the government and say, we have to have money to survive. The government gives them money, and the money goes out the door in forms of dividends. This is like a way that the great mass of American people are subsidizing an investor class. I mean, this situation is so serious in America. How the great wealth of the nation is being accelerated upwards, and to me, our work as a committee gives us a chance to not just expose what's happening, but to find a way to make it right, to find a way to keep people in their homes, to find a way to have people get a chance to get a home again, to find a way to save neighborhoods, to restore the value of the home, to fix up the infrastructure, to get people jobs, to get people health care, to make sure their kids can go to decent schools. I mean, these are all to save people's retirements. These are all things that our committee has a chance to be involved in, and I am so glad that you're the chairman of that committee, because you have the sensitivity, coming from your experience in Brooklyn, to really be open to new directions in policy and to time-tested solutions that can really get the help to people who need it the most.
And that's the reason why I want to thank you for supporting the Inspector General Independence Bill.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I really appreciate your involvement in that, because let's face it, they need to have independence, because if I'm the secretary, or if I'm the director of an agency, and you're the Inspector General, and of course I control your budget, I sign your paycheck, If you start looking at something I don't want you to look, I mean, if I don't want you to take a look at that, then what will I do? Cut your budget or threaten to fire you. So we need to have that independence. And I want to thank you for supporting that legislation, because that is one way we can get at some of this fraud and abuse that's going on with these people who are taking advantage of others.
Well, Congress is a co-equal branch of government. Well, we have the oversight responsibility. The fact of the matter is, even with that system, inside the administration, these inspectors general who work within each department have the ability to look over the shoulder of the administrators and to report back to Congress what is happening. And often we get some very valuable reports. For example, the Inspector General, Department of Defense, reports on Iraq and Afghanistan. We found out what was really going on there. And, there's been Inspector General reports across the government. They've been very valuable, and they give Congress the ability to have an extra set of eyes.
Yeah, let me sort of just switch to something that, you've been a candidate for president on 2 occasions. Could you just share that experience? I mean, I cannot understand how you could run for president, same time vote in the United States Congress, and then at the same time, the same year, go back and have a primary, and then run in the primary, and then, of course, after running for president for for a year. I mean, how do you do it?
I had the fastest 6 years of my life, I'll tell you. And why? The first is why I did it. I did it to challenge the war. I led the effort in the House against the war in Iraq. I said back in 2002, when President Bush wanted to take us into Iraq, I said, there's no proof that Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction, that they have the intention or capability of attacking the United States. Why are we doing this? And so that led me into a challenge inside the Democratic primaries to say, look, get out of Iraq. Start focusing on health care and jobs and education. And in 2008 again, when that campaign season started, after the 2006 election, I saw our Democratic leaders saying, look, we're going to keep funding the war. I went back again to challenge the war. What was it like? This is such a great country, and a chance to travel to every state and to go to all these cities and communities was great. I found the underlying unity of the American people, how much all of us are so much alike, how the attempts to divide us really don't make sense, because we have something that unites all of us. And to me, it's a great blessing to have the chance to do that. And it was even greater with the last campaign, because I had a chance to do it with my wife Elizabeth, which made it a joy instead of a lot of work.
I want to commend you, because you are an outstanding legislator, and of course you've been involved in public service for all these years, and I just want to say to you that you have truly made a difference, and I am just so delighted to have an opportunity to serve with you on the Oversight and Government Reform Committee, and you doing great work there. And when I want to get you in Brooklyn, to get you to walk the streets in Brooklyn,
Let's do it.
And let the people know in terms of what Dennis Kucinich is all about. And I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank you for being on News and Views. Thank you so much for your work. Thank you for the contribution that you made to this country.
Thank you very much. Flatbush, here I come.
We were looking forward to it, no doubt about it. They love you. They love you in Brooklyn. They really do. Thank you.
You have been watching Political News and Views with Congressman Ed Towns of the 10th Congressional District of New York. If you have any questions or comments regarding this program, please write care of Congressman Ed Towns, U.S. Capitol, Washington, D.C., 20515, or call 202-225-5936.